Hi everyone, my name is Megan Elizabeth Clark and I am a freelance copywriter and content marketing specialist. And this is my second video in a series of 3 on before, during, and after you write tips for optimizing your writing. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my 6 favorite tips for while you write. So after you've done the due diligence and the work to really be thoughtful around who your audience is, who you're writing for, what offer you're making, what your CTA is, all things I talked about in my first video for before you write. Now it's time to actually sit down to the computer and start writing. So I'm going to walk you through some of my favorite tips, primarily from a writing perspective, on what you should be really focusing on when it comes to writing effectively. Let's start with tip number 1. Write in an active voice. This is hard. This one's not always easy to catch, but often you'll find yourself accidentally or, throwing some passive voice in there when really you should be trying to make sure that your doer is at the start of your sentence, which is active voice. I find that active voice is far more direct, impactful, it's action-oriented and action-packed, which is all the things that you want to be doing in marketing writing. Passive voice tends to make things sound a little bit more confusing, a little bit less direct, and very, in the past tense as opposed to the present tense, which is really not kind of the goal of your writing in a marketing context. Here's an example. You had to write the story versus the story had to be written by you. You are the doer. You had to write the story. You did. The story had to be written by you. All of a sudden, the story in the passive tense is now the subject of the sentence, even though it's you writing the story. So you can kind of see how that first sentence, you had to write the story, is far more action-oriented. It's far more direct. It uses less words to even communicate the same thing. And that's active voice. Let's think of a few more examples. The company won the award. Active. The award was won by the company. Passive. The order had to be canceled by the supplier. Passive. Our supplier had to cancel the order. Active. This project will be finished by us soon. Passive. We will finish this project soon. Active. You can kind of see in those examples, active voice tends to use less language. It's far more direct and very straightforward as to what the action is happening in the sentence, and the doer is at the start of the sentence, and it just makes the language flow a lot more clear and a lot more direct, which is really what you're aiming for in your writing. Tip number 2, write in the present tense. This goes literally hand in hand with active and passive voice. Unless it's something that happened in the past, stay in the present. You, especially in your marketing context, are talking about the present. You're talking about the future with your audience. You don't want to linger in the past or make things seem like they happened in the past, because that's confusing and it's not letting someone think about the future with your product, with your service. It's important to communicate to your reader that this action is happening now, or living in the present. And you might be surprised, but past sneaks in there sometimes when it's just really not necessary. Tip number 3. Don't nominalize. This is when a verb becomes a noun. There's nothing wrong with nominalizations when they're used sparingly. Nominalizations aren't bad. It happens naturally, and sometimes it makes sense in a sentence. Like all of these examples, there are cases where this makes sense, and it's not always bad. However, when nominalizations happen frequently, they tend to make your writing sound a little bit dull or academic. Let's think of some examples. We entered into a partnership with another business. Partnership should probably be the verb in the sentence, but all of a sudden it became a noun. Partnership. Let's try and switch that around to get rid of the nominalization. We partnered with another business. Boom. Partnership, the noun, became the verb partnered. Here are some other examples. The supplier and I had a discussion about it. I discussed it with the supplier. The implementation of the method has been done by the team. The team implemented the method. Tip number 4, be specific. Dive into the details with your reader through your writing. We want to hear how juicy that steak is. We want to know how beautiful those flowers are. We want to hear how that workout is going to make us sweat, how it's going to make us really tone our bodies. We want to hear that language. And the more that you can describe the detail, the more that I can come along on the journey with you and have a better understanding of what you're talking about. I want to be able to taste, smell, touch, feel the product or service that you're talking about. And the only way that you can really do that is bringing me along with your details. Tip number 5, use bulleted and numbered lists to break up your text. If your content looks like a giant wall of text, no one's going to want to read it. Not even your most dedicated reader who's really interested in your topic is going to be able to keep going, right? It just looks too overwhelming. That's why we have, why formatting is such a big editing concern for any piece of content that you're creating. So it's important to be thinking about, okay, how many sentences are in this paragraph? What relates? Let's move it along. Where can I bold? Where can I italicize? Maybe where can I make this into a list or add some bullets? Anything to help break up the text and just make it a little bit easier to read visually. Tip number 6, final tip, watch out for third person. Third person likes to sneak in there every once in a while. Never refer to your reader as they. It should always be you, me, I, us. You're having a conversation with your reader through your writing. When you write in third person, you are writing as if you and your reader are completely removed from the situation and are talking about a series of events unrelated to either of you. They do this, our clients do that, they, that, the other. Where I want to feel involved. I want to know, oh, me. You're talking about me. I am the person that you're talking to. Make me feel special. Make me feel like you're talking directly to me. Not only that, but third person writing makes your writing sound overly dull, robotic, impersonal, because it's totally removing me, your reader, from the writing entirely. Keep it conversational. Those are my tips for while you write. Some of my favorite. Drop in the comments other tips that you love to implement as you write. I'd love to hear them. And don't forget to tune into my next video, which is I'm going to be talking about tips for after you write. So a lot of fact checking, a lot of going through and checking for grammar to make sure you didn't miss anything, and making sure that content looks tip-top shape before you hit that publish button. So thanks for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm excited to see you again soon.